I do not need to kill you, Solomon Vandy. If you do not bring me the diamond, I will find the rest of your family. Just as I have found your son. I will your wife in front of your eyes, a slitted throat, and I will keep your daughters for myself.
In a rural fishing village, Solomon Vandy is walking with his son Dia when he spots rebel soldiers rolling toward the village. He shoves Dia behind a boat, then bolts off, machete in hand, racing to save his family. The rebels pile out of their vehicles and instantly open fire, spraying machine guns and mowing down villagers as they run in terror. Solomon reaches the chaos and takes in the nightmare unfolding. He slices open the back of his hut to clear an escape route for his wife and children. But the moment they slip out, rebels slam him to the ground. He screams in helpless rage as they pin him down, while his son watches, before fleeing with the women and children. Afterwards, the rebels drag the surviving villagers forward and begin hacking off their arms.
Bring forward the next one, bastard!
Long sleeve or short sleeve?
The RUF, led by the brutal Captain Poison, believes that taking a person's hands takes away their power to vote.
No more hands, no more voting!
When Solomon's turn comes, Poison studies him for a moment, then orders his men to send him to the workers instead. The captives are hauled to the Kono diamond fields, forced to dig endlessly for rare stones, while Poison yaps about how the RUF has freed them from the government and their white masters.
RUF have freed you! No more slave and master here!
Cut to a diamond conference in Antwerp, where officials debate prohibiting the import of rough diamonds from conflict zones. These stones, worth hundreds of millions, fuel wars across the region. Among the attendees sit two industry giants, Van de Kaap and Simmons, both publicly endorsing the proposal. Back in the mines, as Poison keeps on yapping, a man quietly pockets a diamond by slipping it into his mouth. Poison notices instantly and orders him to spit it out. The moment the stone hits Poison's hand, he executes the man on the spot, leaving Solomon horrified. Elsewhere, a drug smuggler named Danny Archer, who probably should have stayed lost at sea, arrives in a small plane to trade with the RUF. Outside, a rebel calling himself Captain Rambo tries to intimidate him, but Danny insists he'll only deal with Commander Zero. After surrendering his gun, he walks into the compound, much to Rambo's annoyance. Inside, he finds the commander, who's expecting a new shipment of weapons for the war. The commander hands over some worthless stones first, but when Danny threatens to walk, he caves immediately and produces his high-quality diamonds. Danny approves, and the commander casually requests a satellite TV to watch Baywatch next time. On the way to the border, Danny is stopped by soldiers. He tries to bluff his way through, claiming he's from National Geographic, doing a story on shepherds, but the soldier isn't buying a word of it. He grabs one of the goats, slices it open, and exposes the diamonds Danny got from the commander. That's when Danny attempts a bribe.
Now look, why don't I just look the other way, all right? You take one or two of those stones, you get something lekker for the wife or maybe the mistress.
We'll go back to Freetown and ask Kano Kotsie how he wishes to thank his business associate. Guys, take him over.
At Kono, while digging, Solomon uncovers the largest stone he's ever seen, a rare pink diamond. His heart pounds as he decides to keep it, glancing around nervously, not wanting to end up like the miner executed earlier. A water pump suddenly bursts, and Solomon uses the chaos to slip the diamond between his toes. He asks to relieve himself, but Captain Poison blocks him, frisking him head to toe. Finding nothing, the warlord sneers and lets him go. Behind a bush, Solomon quickly wraps the stone in cloth and buries it, but as he finishes, Poison steps from the shadows, demanding he hand it over. Before he can close in, bombs crash down, blasting Poison off his feet. The government troops have arrived. In the chaos, Solomon digs up the stone, snatches Poison's knife, and bolts. He hides the diamond again just before soldiers grab him and haul him off to Freetown Prison with the others, the same prison holding Danny. Later, Captain Poison and the rest of the RUF are thrown into the compound as well. The second Poison spots Solomon, he demands to know where the diamond is. Solomon denies knowing him, so Poison offers $1,000 to anyone willing to cut the gem out of him.
Where is the diamond? Where is the diamond? Do you see a diamond? You devils have taken my family, my home, and they lost everything. Look, what is left?
Enraged, Poison vows to make his family pay while Danny watches from the background, interest sharply piqued. Danny is eventually freed and leans on an associate to secure Solomon Vandy's release, betting on the diamond he overheard Poison yelling about. As he lines up a new buyer, word arrives from London. His partners, Van de Kaap and Simmons, have disavowed him. Furious, he tells his contact to forget everything else and just focus on getting Solomon out. In his room, he pulls a hidden diamond from his tooth and steps outside. moments before someone breaks in. Danny sells the stone for fast cash, then heads to a bar where the bartender warns him the RUF will be here soon. That's when he locks eyes with a woman sitting alone. He offers her a smoke, but instead of small talk, she unloads her fears about the country collapsing. She introduces herself, Maddie Bowen, and flirts lightly before cutting straight to business. She asks if he's smuggling diamonds or working for Van de Kaap, the company tied to the RUF. Danny warns her to watch her words, but she keeps pushing.
You know, in America it's bling bling, but out here it's bling bang, huh? I wouldn't want you getting in any trouble.
How much trouble do you think I would get into for talking about blood diamonds?
You're a journalist.
That's right.
Piss off, huh?
As a journalist, she points out that Liberia, the next-door neighbor, somehow made over $2 billion from diamonds it doesn't even have, while Sierra Leone, drowning in blood gems, shows nothing. She's determined to expose the supply chain, linking Van de Kaap to the rebels, and presses him for intel.
What do you want from me, huh?
You know all about Van de Kaap. Help me out. Off the record.
Well, off the record, I like to get kissed before I get fucked, huh?
Danny returns home to find his TV smashed before running into his old military buddy Cordell, the same man who trashed his place. After a bit of talk, Danny drops the act, decks him, and delivers a message for the colonel. He'll get his money soon. Elsewhere, Solomon is released and immediately searches for his family. He checks lists of refugees at a center but finds nothing. When he asks for help, he's told to try other towns. But this is already the third one he's searched. Meanwhile, Dia, the only man left with his villagers, leads them into the hills to hide from the rebels. But they don't stay hidden long. He's soon found and dragged away by the RUF, while his mother cries after him in helpless terror. Meanwhile, Danny flies to Cape Town to meet his old commander, Colonel Coetzee. He praises the colonel for playing both sides, selling arms to the rebels, then signing contracts with the government to fight them. Coetzee reminds him he raised him in the trade and now wants in on Solomon's pink diamond.
Our deal went bad and you owe me money.
Look, you think if I found a stone like that, I'd still be on this continent?
Give me your hand. This red earth, it's in our skin. The Shona say the color comes from all the blood that's being spilled fighting over the land. This is home. You'll never leave Africa.
If you say so, sir.
With no real choice, Danny returns to Sierra Leone, where he presses Solomon for the stone's location. But the desperate father, focused solely on finding his family, denies knowing anything. Elsewhere, Dia is brutalized in rebel training.
Yes!
Alongside others, he's beaten and taught in the ways of a ruthless soldier. They tell them their parents are weak and useless.
They've done nothing but suck the blood from this country. But you are the heroes who will save this nation. You are not children anymore. You are men.
Blindfolded, Dia is ordered to do the unthinkable, while Poison watches in the background, fully aware of who his father is. When the cloth comes off, Dia sees the dead man at his feet and recoils in horror. That night, Poison visits Dia, declaring he's now a soldier for the revolution. He grins, promising the boy anything he wants, and that he'll take care of him. At the bar, Danny picks up a gun from his bartender friend, who warns that the RUF are closing in on the capital.
Might be time to get your family out, huh?
Just fire up the chopper and fly away like you people. This my countryman. We here long for you came, long after you gone.
That's when Danny spots Maddie again. They flirt and dance. But when she presses him about Van de Kaap, he gives her nothing. She's disgusted by his indifference to the lives lost over blood diamonds. But Danny just shrugs that her writing won't win any war. The next day, government forces sweep through Freetown, arresting civilians. Foreigners are ordered to evacuate immediately as the RUF closes in. Amid the chaos, Danny finds Solomon and offers him a deal. The right diamond can buy safety, information, freedom. But Solomon wants only his family. That's when Danny promises to help find them in exchange for the stone. Then, Freetown erupts. The RUF launches a full-scale assault, executing civilians and torching buildings as Danny and Solomon sprint for their lives. Up ahead, government troops try to hold the line, firing at the rebels, but they're overwhelmed by sheer numbers and rocket launchers. Danny drags Solomon through the smoke to an abandoned building packed with survivors. They hide inside a wrecked house, forced to watch people being cut down in the streets. When night falls, they slip away as the rebels descend into degeneration, and Danny's bartender friend doesn't make it out alive. By morning, they reach a heavily guarded bridge. Danny convinces Solomon to pose as an RUF fighter, escorting a prisoner. The rebels move to execute him, but Danny snaps into action, pulling a gun and dropping them before they could react. One tries to flee but is instantly cut down by AK fire. With the path clear, they push toward government-controlled Lungi, a northern town with an airstrip. There, Danny lies about being a journalist, but is still denied entry. He then sends word for Maddie, hoping she can help. When she arrives, he unloads everything about Tiara Diamonds, a front company in Liberia that buys his smuggled blood diamonds under Van de Kopp's control. He promises her a blockbuster story if she uses her UN contacts to track Solomon's family. With her connections, they trace Solomon's family to a refugee camp in Guinea. At the fence, he calls out, and his wife rushes forward with their daughter. After a desperate embrace, Solomon scans the crowd for Dia. Nothing. His wife sobs that the boy was taken by the RUF. Shattered, Solomon collapses against the fence, screaming for his son until soldiers beat him back with their rifles. As they leave Guinea, Maddie explains that camp officials fear rebel infiltration. His family can't be released until peace returns. That's when Solomon finally points out to Danny where he buried the diamond, much to Maddie's frustration. When they get back, Danny presses for details, but Solomon can only talk about how his son was meant to become a doctor, not a child soldier.
My son is a very good student. He walks 5 kilometers to the sister school every morning to study English. He's going to be a doctor one day.
Frustrated, Danny heads inside and mocks Maddie's work. She fires back. She's tired of writing about dead mothers and severed limbs. It might make people cry, but it never stops the killing.
I need names, I need dates, I need pictures, I need bank accounts. People back home wouldn't buy a ring if they knew it cost someone else their hand. I can't write that story until I get facts that can be verified, which is to say, until I find someone who will go on record.
But instead of giving her something, Danny tries to convince her to get him and Solomon into the press convoy to Kono, insisting the diamond is Solomon's only chance to save his family. Maddie doesn't buy it. She knows Danny doesn't care about the family, only the stone. Left with no other choice, Danny spells everything out. After he smuggles stones across the border, local buyers pass them to a middleman in Monrovia. Customs get paid off, papers get forged, and suddenly the diamonds are Liberian and ready for export. From there, they're shipped to Antwerp, sorted without question. And by the time they hit India, the dirty stones are mixed with clean ones from around the world, now indistinguishable.
And Van de Kopp knows about all this.
When I get to London, I meet with Simmons.
He explains how the company hides diamonds in underground vaults, controlling supply to inflate prices. Meanwhile, the rebels plan to dump $1 billion worth of stones into the market. Van de Kopp calls them rare, but he can't let that happen. Not while convincing some poor dude to shell out thousands on an engagement ring. They may not hand the rebels cash directly, but by controlling supply, they make sure the war never ends. When Maddie demands proof, Danny hands her a ledger packed with names, dates, and bank accounts. He warns her not to publish anything until after he delivers the diamond. Otherwise, he's dead.
What if you don't come out with the diamond?
Then write whatever you want. I'm already dead.
When it's time to leave, Danny tells Solomon to lie about being the cameraman to stay off the radar, but Solomon clearly has no concept of lying.
Listen, I cannot do this.
Why not?
Because I am not a journalist.
Of course you're not.
Well then, how can I say I am?
Because that's how you get your damn son back, all right? Now get on the bus. Go.
I am the cameraman.
What is he doing?
He's beginning to believe.
They join a UN-protected convoy headed to Kono, where the pink diamond still lies buried. While Maddie and Solomon talk about using her story to help the locals, Danny and another reporter shamelessly fangirl over her. Midway through the journey, they come across an ambulance ambushed by RUF rebels. While inspecting the bodies, gunfire erupts from every direction. They sprint back, but one reporter blocks Solomon from boarding, claiming there's no space. The trio escapes in a separate convoy vehicle with Maddie joining them. Meanwhile, in the RUF camp, the new recruits are fully indoctrinated, including Dia. Nicknamed See Me No More, he joins a raid on a hamlet, committing atrocities alongside the rebels. Back on the road, Danny, Solomon, and the reporters are ambushed again. Rebels slaughter everyone in the bus, then get into a firefight with the soldiers in the rear. When their driver is killed, Danny shoves the body out and takes the wheel, tearing through a village as the rebels close in. Pushing deeper into the forest, Danny eventually crashes the vehicle. The group abandons it and continues on foot. The next day, they stumble across the Kamagers, local militia defending their homes. Solomon warns Maddie not to make eye contact, then pleads that they're friends, not government troops or RUF, but the Kamagers don't look convinced. That's when Maddie uses her brutal Instagram-level charm to win them over. After Aura farming, the group is escorted to a small community where children gather, asking where they're from. Benjamin, the community leader, steps in and asks their mission.
I'm the cameraman.
Don't think you are. Know you are.
Soon, they learn the settlement is a school meant as a safe haven for the children. Benjamin explains that many of these kids were taken by the RUF and forced into horrors, but the school is helping bring them back to life. Maddie joins the students in reading while Solomon plays soccer with the kids. Benjamin later tells Danny he's known most of the rebels since they were boys.
The local commander is still afraid I will come after him with my ruler.
Danny argues they wouldn't spare him, even if he means well. That night, Maddie approaches Danny as he drinks palm wine. He offers her some, then opens up about his years as a soldier. When she asks if he plans to steal the diamond from Solomon, he says the stone is his ticket off the continent. Then he talks about his parents, how his mother was assaulted and murdered, and how his father was decapitated and hanged when he was just 9.
Sometimes I wonder, will God ever forgive us for what we've done to each other? And I look around and I realize God left this place a long time ago.
When his voice softens, Maddie reaches out and holds his hands. The next morning, Benjamin drives them toward their destination. Ahead, armed soldiers burst onto the road. Danny demands Benjamin drive straight at them to scare them off, but Benjamin refuses, saying the soldiers are still kids. He tries talking to them, but they insist only RUF fighters can pass. Suddenly, one opens fire, hitting Benjamin. Danny reacts instantly, threatens them, and speeds off while Maddie presses on Benjamin's wound. They reach the Kono airstrip, where medics rush Benjamin away. Cordell appears, ordering Maddie to leave with the non-military evacuees, but Danny insists she's with him. Cordell then takes Danny to Colonel Coetzee, who's preparing an attack on the diamond field. The colonel tells Danny he's part of the operation now. Once they wipe out everything in Kono, they'll retrieve the diamond. Realizing he must slip out before the operation begins, Danny tells Solomon to wait behind the tents. He then asks Maddie to distract the guard watching the armory.
You're going in now.
Your plane leaves in a few minutes, huh?
What if I wanted to go in with you?
I'd say no.
What if I insist?
Well, I'd insist back.
He asks her for just 2 minutes, hands her his ledger on Van de Kaap, and disappears while she stalls the guard. Danny sneaks into a tent and loads up on weapons and food. Once geared up, he meets Solomon behind the tents, where Maddie says her goodbyes. After snapping a picture of him, Danny tells her to find herself a good man. She hands him her card and asks him to call as soon as he's near a phone. Afterward, Danny and Solomon rush out while Maddie boards the plane with the other journalists, with Cordell realizing too late that Danny's already gone. With Maddie gone, Danny quickly outlines their pace, and the two begin their trek toward Kono, crossing rivers as Danny presses Solomon for every detail he remembers about the pink diamond. Later that night, an RUF truck approaches from behind, forcing Danny and Solomon to dive into a nearby bush. While hiding, Solomon spots a boy who looks like Dia and instinctively calls out. The rebels halt instantly and open fire. Danny and Solomon tear into the forest, bullets snapping behind them. Danny drags Solomon to the ground and covers them both with branches, while the rebels miss them. In the morning, Solomon wakes to Danny, calm but blunt, warning that if he ever risks his life like that again, he'll peel his face off like a baboon. They soon reach a village littered with bodies, clearly an RUF massacre. A local survivor tells Solomon the rebels are in the next village. As they head out, Solomon veers off the path to check if Dia is there.
He's not down there, all right? You're gonna need some of that old discipline, huh? You are not going down there. Are we clear?
You are not the master.
That's when Danny insults him, and Solomon snaps, lunging at him. Danny counters with a punch, and the two brawl in the dirt. Danny's training wins out. He pins Solomon and presses a gun to his head, insisting Dia is dead.
I am his father! His father should have protected him! I must go find him! I cannot live without knowing! Shoot me if you want, but I'm going!
When he realizes Solomon is ready to die for his son, Danny relents, agreeing they'll scout the village after dark. Predictably, Dia isn't there, just rebels lost in drunken debauchery. They move on. Solomon asks if Danny has a wife or money. Danny admits he has neither, though with the diamond, he'll have plenty of cash. Solomon wonders if that means a wife and kids someday, but Danny doubts it. On the upside, he promises to quit smoking once they find the stone. That night, they rest in a cave, drinking a bottle of whiskey. Solomon wonders how his own people could do such cruel things to each other, but he clings to one belief. His son is a good kid who will become a doctor when this is all over. Danny quickly slips into best friend mode, promising they'll find him. The next day, they finally reach the diamond field. Solomon shows Danny where he buried the stone, down by the riverside. Danny steps away to call the colonel and request an airstrike as a diversion. Solomon reminds him that Dia might be here, but Danny doubts it. He calls Cordell, who tears into him for escaping earlier, but settles down when Danny says he's at the diamond's location. After the call, Danny tells Solomon the airstrike will hit in the morning. They'll move closer to the village at night and search for Dia until dawn.
No movement, my friend. When it gets dark, and we move in closer.
Predictably, when Danny wakes, Solomon is already gone and he heads out to find him. Meanwhile, Solomon slips into the camp, desperate to find his son, as Danny, in full blackface, silently neutralizes a guard and takes his weapon. Disguised as a firewood collector, Solomon scans the camp until his eyes lock onto Dia. From the trees, Danny watches Solomon slowly approach his son. Dia instantly tells him to go away. When Solomon grabs his arm, insisting he's his father, the boy, fully brainwashed, starts screaming that Solomon is an enemy and a traitor. Rebels turn at the noise. To twist the knife, Dia shoves his father to the ground, yelling for them to shoot him, as Danny watches, unable to intervene. This might be the toughest moment in the movie, Dia looking his father in the eyes and choosing the rebels. Do you think there's still a way back for him, or is the brainwashing already in too deep? Let me know in the comments. The next morning, Poison laughs in Solomon's face, saying he knew he'd return. He admits he tried to find the diamond, but failed. Nearby, Danny hides behind a wall, waiting for the right moment. Poison orders Solomon to pick up the shovel and dig. When he refuses, he drags Dia forward, threatening to do unspeakable things to his wife and daughters.
I'll your wife in front of your eyes, slit her throat, and I will keep your daughters for myself.
Faced with the death of his family, Solomon lifts the shovel. That's when the airstrike hits. Missiles hammer the camp and bullets pour from the helicopter while the rebels scatter in terror. Danny breaks cover and joins the assault. In the chopper, Cordell tells the colonel Danny might be down there, but the colonel doesn't care. He wants everyone dead. Meanwhile, Poison drags Dia away, but Solomon charges after him, tackling him to the ground. They brawl brutally. Fueled by rage, Solomon slams Poison backward with a shovel, then keeps striking until the warlord finally stays down, brutally paying for everything he did to Solomon's family. Danny cuts down more rebels, then spots Dia in the chaos screaming in fear. When Danny calls his name, Dia bolts. Danny chases him and shields him just in time from incoming fire. Meanwhile, rebels trying to flee the mine are mowed down by soldiers who have surrounded the area. Soon after, the helicopter lands and Coetzee arrives with his mercenaries. Danny tries to cut a deal, but the colonel shuts him down. He's in no position to bargain.
And you will never find it, sir.
But he will. Introduce me to your digger.
Solomon Vendy. This Colonel Coetzee wants the diamond, huh? You will only tell me, sir. I promise you that. Let me talk to him, huh?
Go on.
Danny moves to Solomon and urges him to reveal where the diamond is buried. But when Solomon refuses, Danny returns to Coetzee and makes another offer.
He tells us to end the deal, sir.
70-30.
60-40. I've already lined up a buyer.
Agreed.
Danny then drags Dia over, telling the colonel he can use the boy as leverage. Solomon will do anything for him. With Dia's life on the line, Solomon finally leads them to the spot. At the riverside, Cordell points a gun at Danny when he asks for a smoke. That's when Danny realizes they'll be killed as soon as the diamond surfaces. Thinking fast, he subtly warns Solomon. That's when Solomon starts digging, saying he's almost there. But in a split-second move, Danny disarms Cordell and kills the other mercenaries. The colonel fires back, but Danny returns a shot that drops him. With the mercenaries gone, Danny instructs Solomon to keep on digging. Then he notices blood soaking his clothes, but he says nothing. Not long after, Solomon unearths the pink diamond, and both men break into relieved smiles. But the moment they secure the stone, Dia picks up a gun and levels it at Danny. When Solomon tells him to stop, Dia swings the barrel toward his father. Tears stream down Solomon's face as he reminds his son of everything he once loved. His mother waiting by the fire every night, making plantains with his sisters, and Babu, the wild dog who listens to no one but Dia.
I am your father who loves you, and you will come home with me and be my son again.
Slowly, the boy's mind clears. Dia lowers the gun, and Solomon pulls him into a tight embrace. Suddenly, shots rip through the trees. Coetzee's remaining mercenaries closing in. Danny, Solomon, and Dia bolt into the forest. Once they're clear, Danny takes the diamond and radios his pilot to confirm he has the stone. The pilot subtly suggests ditching Solomon and Dia. A little farther on, Danny reveals the plane will meet them at the top of the gorge. When Solomon urges him to rest, Danny refuses, refusing to let go of the stone. As they climb, Danny's pace falters, and Solomon hoists him onto his back and keeps on climbing. Shortly after, the pain becomes unbearable, and Danny orders Solomon to put him down as the plane comes into view overhead. Solomon tries again to lift him, but Danny stops him. He can no longer go any further. He unwraps the diamond and stares at it, laughing softly. Moments later, he presses the stone into Solomon's shaking hand, telling him to run with Dia. He gives him Maddie's card and tells him to call her when he reaches Conakry. Danny also warns him not to trust the pilot. pilot, and to point the gun at him if he tries anything. With mercenaries closing in, Solomon and Dia climb toward the summit while Danny covers their escape. Once they're safe, Danny pulls out a satellite phone and calls Maddie as the enemy draws near. He tells her to meet Solomon and Dia in Conakry. When she realizes he's wounded, she wants to come help, but Danny looks up at the plane and smiles. With the last of his strength, he urges her to protect Solomon and Dia and make sure they reach London safely.
I'm really happy I met you. You know that?
I wish I could be there with you.
That's all right. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.
After the call ends, Danny sinks into the dirt, blood pooling beneath him. He scoops up a handful of red sand, remembering the Colonel's words.
The Shona say the color comes from all the blood that's being spilled fighting over the land. This is home. You'll never leave Africa.
Taking in the beauty of Africa one final time, Danny Archer slips away. Sometime later, Solomon arrives in London and meets Maddie, who waits with her camera as he heads into a discreet meeting with Rupert Simmons, an executive for Van de Kopp. Simmons offers £2 million for the pink diamond, but Solomon refuses, agreeing to hand it over only after he's reunited with his family. When Simmons asks how he even knows Solomon still has the stone, Solomon simply smiles and walks out. Later, wandering through London, Solomon stops at a jeweler's window, staring at a glittering diamond necklace, finally understanding that what lies buried in one part of the world is priceless in another. Later, he returns for another meeting, exchanging the pink stone for a briefcase full of money, just as his family steps off a private jet and runs into his arms. Meanwhile, Maddie secretly photographs the entire exchange. She's now ready to expose Van de Kopp's role in the blood diamond trade. Solomon's gem is quietly sealed away in an underground vault. With Maddie's reporting and the devastating photos and footage of Sierra Leone's victims, she exposes how conflict diamonds fuel war, exploit civilians, and destroy families. Once the story breaks, people in South Africa rise up, protesting Van de Kopp and his associates. Solomon reads Maddie's story and sees Danny honored as a hero. The moment hits him hard. Soon after, he's called to speak at an international conference in Kimberley, where he'll testify to the horrors of blood diamonds, turning his family's suffering into a force for real change. In January 2003, 40 nations signed the Kimberley Process, an effort to stem the flow of conflict diamonds. But illegal stones still slip through, and it's up to consumers to demand proof their diamonds are conflict-free. Sierra Leone is at peace now, yet across Africa, 200,000 child soldiers remain. Remember, the Third World is not a world apart. This film stands out as one of the most powerful war dramas of its era. After Blood Diamond came out, jewelers began reporting a surge of buyers asking where their stones came from and whether they were tied to conflict. That ripple effect was created by this film alone. Tell me your thoughts on this film and which war movie you want next. Thanks for watching.